This is Lisa Day, Director of Online Learning Programmes in the Management School.
Lynn Evans, Strategic Director, Liverpool Online.
And Sue Bolt, Director of Studies for the Liverpool Online Academic Practice Programs and Head of Academic Development at the University of Liverpool.
And you're listening to the Academy's Developing Practice podcast.
In today's podcast, we will be speaking with the recent winners of the Collaborative Award for Teaching Excellence. But before we do, it's perhaps worth explaining briefly what the award is. So Charles, you're not only the co-host for this podcast, but you're also the Teaching Excellence Award lead here at Liverpool. So maybe you could explain briefly what the Teaching Excellence Awards are.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ellie. So the CATE Award, Collaborative Award for Teaching Excellence, it celebrates and recognises outstanding collaborative work that's had a transformative impact on teaching and learning. It's coordinated by Advance HE. It's very competitive. They only select up to 15 teams each year. And Liverpool University, interestingly, has won the CATE Awards several times. And last year, 2024, with the wonderful Liverpool Online, who are here now. So Advance HE run that team award, Collaborative Award for Teaching Excellence. They also run a National Teaching Fellow Award. That's an individual award for teaching excellence. It's a wonderful community, very dynamic and supportive. And Lisa Day, who's joining us today, led our CATE team last year. Lisa's also, by the way, the Deputy Teal Teaching Excellence Award lead for our institution. And Lisa's also joined the National Committee, the CATE Committee. Something else of interest, Liverpool were very lucky, we're part of something called the Pipeline Programme, which is unique across the UK, and it's a collaboration, in true CATE fashion, collaboration, of 5 universities, so Manchester, BPP, Northumbria, Liverpool and Manchester Met, who work together to support prospective CATE and NTF applicants. So anybody wanting to know more about the NTF scheme or the CATE scheme, you could go on to Advance HE, or you can go on to the Liverpool University Academy web pages, where you'll see lots more detail. So, as I say, really pleased to welcome 3 members of the 2024 Liverpool Online winning CATE team, one of whom is Sue Bolt, who incidentally, just throw this in, also won an NTF award, National Teaching Fellowship Award, in the same year. So lovely to welcome you. We've got Lynn Evans, Lisa Day and Sue Bolt. So please tell us about your CATE team and what brought you all together.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks, colleagues. So all of the CATE Awards recognise our online leadership team and certain other key contacts that I'll go on to speak about. The first thing that I want to say is that Liverpool Online is a community of many, many people right across the university and across our partnership with Kaplan Open Learning. And what brings us together in the end is our passion for digital learning and the ways that we can use that to bring people together across boundaries of all kinds and to make high quality higher education available everywhere in the world. So you may know Liverpool was one of the first universities, UK universities, to offer degrees online. 2025 is actually our 25th anniversary year. And around 2018, we decided to enter a new partnership arrangement with Kaplan Open Learning. Like us, Kaplan are early pioneers in online education, and we brought together the best of our academic experience with their digital learning capabilities. And that was an opportunity not only to evolve our offer for students, bringing the best of what each partner had to offer, but also to think about the ways in which we organised ourselves internally. both within the university, across disciplines, and also across our cross-sector partnership with Kaplan Open Learning. So what that enabled us to do was to capture the best of our respective experience and evolve our practice together, strengthening and providing consistency across discipline areas where it made sense to do so, while still, of course, making room for local differences depending on the kind of material being studied, innovating continually across disciplines, supporting and advising one another, and really building strong community within Liverpool Online. And together we've developed what we believe is a world-class portfolio at pace. I think we got 22 new master's programs into market in a period of about 2 years at the beginning of the partnership. And at the heart of that has been our collaborative leadership approach. So the CATE team is the online leads for each of the schools that participate in Liverpool Online, along with some key professional colleagues, our academic quality and standards team, our Centre for Innovation and Education, and we also within the CATE team recognise some of our key points of engagement across the university. So the library, the Guild of Students with whom we work extremely closely, and one of our important education partnerships, the transformative academic practice for higher education in the Philippines. We brought in the lead from that partnership. Sue, I don't know whether you want to say something very briefly about that, since this is actually your partnership.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, Lynn. So I worked for 5 years beforehand with Anna Floresco Fermalino, who was the Assistant Professor and Director for the Office of International Linkages in the University of the Philippines, Los Banos, to develop a program how we could support them to develop their teaching excellence, because UPLB was a collaborative partner with Liverpool, and they realised that teaching excellence was also important as they advanced their dual PhD program. And I think it's really important to emphasize this collaboration because it took time to work with Anna. We worked on what the program was going to be. We worked on how we were going to recruit people from across 20 different HEIs in the Philippines, and how we were going to get funding from the Higher Education Centre for Higher Education, or Commission for Higher Education in the Philippines. And so Anna was this leader, but she was also a student in the PG CAP, and we recruited leaders from across 20 HEIs in the Philippines who became students on our PG CAP program in Liverpool Online, and we further collaborated with them over the 2 years of the TAPET project to create a community of practice across the Philippines.
So that's a great example of how we deploy our collaborative capabilities as a team, and that's who we are and what the team's all about. Thanks.
It sounds like a really complex team. You've pulled together people from a range of different aspects there, you know, external partners, internal partners, international partners. That seems like a big job in itself, developing that collaboration and that way of working together. So what motivated you to then take all of that and apply for a CATE award? What motivated you to do that?
Well, maybe I can come in with that one. That's interesting. So I think definitely, you know, there was a sense of, you know, something exciting happening with us all coming together and working together. And you know, the programs were rolling out and it was looking great, but there was also that sense that nobody really knew us or what we were doing. We didn't have that great a profile either internally or externally, and yet we had this really strong success story to tell. So we did start to say, well, look, we should try and maybe get some kind of recognition just to raise the profile. So for my own case, we applied in the management school for a Faculty Learning and Teaching Award, and we applied as an individual and as a group. And one of the things that happened as part of that process was got an email saying, you know, oh, well done. And, you know, have you considered a CATE award? And I think that's a good thing with, like, you know, Charles's role as the teal and the pipeline program. It's one of the issues with CATE is it doesn't, because it only launched in 2016, it just doesn't have the same profile. So a lot of people don't even know it exists. So if you have, I would say, if you've had an internal award, like a faculty learning and teaching award, particularly if it's for group, then that could be the first thing where someone says to you, or where you start to think maybe this might be appropriate for a CATE award. So that was the initial thing. Oh, I don't even know what it is, but you're suggesting I consider it. I'll go and have a look. And then, like say, trying to develop that in terms of saying, well, yeah, okay, there is a strong story to tell, and looking at what was needed. The focus of the claims is in two areas around how you show excellence in how you collaborate, and then how that excellent collaboration has led to sort of excellent results. So the focus of our claim, particularly around our collaborative excellence, we have a really good relationships across the universities and across the partnership, a big stakeholder group, but we focused for the claim around the online leadership group and what we call campfires, which are weekly meetings where we informally get together and really share stories, provide support. It's great for if people come in as I say, the director of an online program, and then want to learn from each other. So we thought that was a really good way that we collaborated, as well as then drawing on these wider stakeholder relationships as well. And then in terms of, you know, the excellence in terms of results, we focused very much on the global reach, because these programs are in over 200 countries, and international collaboration. We also focused on the quality of the new programs. So we had awards, recognition, student feedback. And then I think as well that the programs themselves were very much student focused. So the design of the programs, things like student support is excellent. The integration of the library, you know, been 25 years of developing programs online. So things like library integration are superb. Lots of innovations that we're able to show in terms of the impact that they had on students.
I guess it's taking that next step from kind of internal recognition to global recognition, hopefully. Do you have a sense of where that recognition goes? So who knows about it once you've been given that CATE award?
Oh, well, straight up, the first thing I got was an email from the Vice Chancellor. So that was quite nice. A personal email. I thought, oh, my heart rate jumped. I thought, what have I done wrong? But yeah, it was, I think at Liverpool, it's great because I talk to people from other universities. It's not the same everywhere, but I think there is huge support. And other universities never had a CATE winner, so they don't have that network and they don't have that knowledge. But yeah, I think it goes from the top to the whole way through the university. And then there's lots of recognition in terms of newsletter articles and a real sense of celebration. Including that there's a dinner, and I've got to say that was one of the nicest parts of it, because that was a real sense of celebration and coming together as well, and that was with the National Teaching Fellow Award winners as well. So I think it definitely has raised the profile, and when I talk to people externally, then there is that wider awareness now, which is great.
Thanks, Lee. So just going back, if you don't mind, Ellie, I've got a question. Just going back a little bit. So as we've heard there's so many stakeholders involved from different countries, very different roles, a lot happening. So could you tell us something about compiling the bid, and how did you know? Where did it all start? How did you know when you were going to start this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in terms of knowing, like say, when to start was like just hearing about it. And I think if you have had an internal award or have applied for an internal award, that can be a good trigger in sort of somewhere to start, because you've had to put something down on paper. then you start to learn about what this particular award is looking for. And I think that's important with the CATE. It's quite specific at the kind of forms of excellence, and even difference between sort of collaboration where you're genuinely sharing common goals and co-creating, versus coordination where you're simply just maybe supporting each other and giving a bit of encouragement. So one of the really helpful things for me was the pipeline program, because there's like a series of 3 or 4 webinars over the course of about a year where you really understand the basics of what's needed. There's also, I think we'll probably point to them in resources on the Advanced HE website. There's a lot of materials that kind of helps you in terms of understanding what's required, and you can look at that. And then initially we just put in for Liverpool a sort of expression of interest, and that's only 750 words. So at that point, you're quite condensed in terms of the case you put together. But in terms of what we did, we developed what we'll call a table of evidence. So there's 2 main criteria around your own collaborative excellence and then the impact that excellence has had. And within each, there's sort of this idea of value, reach, and impact. And what we looked at was for each of those elements, what we're actually going to say. So what were our examples going to be? What are our arguments going to be? Did we have any evidence? And knowing that table, we pretty much got something in every box, that we had something that looked reasonably robust. I think that was the point that we thought, yeah, we don't have any major gaps here. There's more evidence we can get over the next few months that will just make these arguments a bit stronger. And I think sometimes you might have more ideas, and actually it's finding the really meaty ones that are really going to be really strong and really hit home. So it was more of a filtering down and a cutting things out. And I think at that point, when you realize you probably got even more than you need, that you think, yeah, we can go forward with this. We've got plenty we can talk about.
Thank you, Lisa. I love that systematic approach and this idea of keeping records in the way that you've done there. And that table of evidence is wonderful. You mentioned 3 key words there: value, reach, and impact. And those that are applying for a National Teaching Fellow Award or a CATE award, for both of those awards, you have to evidence value, reach, and impact. So can you tell us something about how did you go about that?
Well, I might chip in for this one because I had those 3 words uppermost in my mind because I was working on the National Teaching Fellowship at the same time as the Collaborative Award for Teaching Excellence. And I would like to reiterate Advanced HE's guidelines that you can't lead both. We definitely needed Lisa to be leading the CATE award. I could not have, done more on that than just being a team member who was supportive. So as you've heard, the Liverpool Online is highly collaborative across the university with our partnerships and also our external partnerships as well. But what we realised very early on, to meet the criteria, we needed to spend time reflecting on the impact on team members ourselves. The team was comprised of 15 members representing the online leadership group and all of the key contributors like the library and TAPEP and the Guild of Students and so on. And the online leadership group also included our quality assurance colleagues as well as our academic and professional staff colleagues. So there's a lot of different people who, like we say, met every week. But we had to think about what it meant to us. So we had to really reflect on how that collaboration impacted and affected us individually. So we took time to quietly reflect and share our key thoughts. And I think one of the important ways we had of doing that was to work online. So we had a shared team space where we could collate our reflections. We brought it to the wider group for them to add to it as well. We had documents that we could all contribute to at the same time. The evidence took many different forms because, as you can imagine, people coming from all different areas. So we brought in our quotes our statistics, and we also tried to represent our information visually. So we were very fortunate that we had Floriana Grasso not only on the online leadership group, but as a core member of the four of us who compiled the actual application. And Floriana, with all of her you know, extreme and superb computing ability, was able to help us to visualize the information that we possibly wouldn't have been able to do without her. So we had the maps that showed our reach. We had word clouds that showed the intensity of some of our values, and we had a network diagram that showed all of the linkages across. We had a lot of quotes, we had a lot of statistics, and I think one of the important things we had to do was to be able to draw on this wide range of data, yet tell a single story that was coherent about Liverpool Online. So we were more than just the sum of the parts of people who were contributing.
When you were looking at all of this data that you collected and these kind of maps and diagrams that visualized your collaboration, how did that change the way that you then reflected on the impact of that collaboration?
I know this is slightly not answering a question, Ali, but one of the things we realized is, like with the word map, there are a lot of words, and we had a word limit that we had to stick to. So what we did is we blurred out the background so that only the very key words stood out. So mapping what we were wanting to communicate with the criteria was a guiding principle. But I think that one of the things about Liverpool Online is that we continually, well, we're very collaborative, and we want to extend the global reach of the university. That's one of our core strengths. So we're always looking to build partnerships, to work collaboratively. Our primary partner is Kaplan Open Learning. So we have, I think Lynn might be talking about this at another time, we have an operational framework that guides how we work together. And these campfire meetings continually bring us back together to see how are we working according to how we said we would work, what's working, what's not working, what can we do to improve it. So there's that continual sense of ongoing improvement, ongoing collaboration, positive, helpful relationships amongst the team and across the team, and beyond that to our partners as well.
So this sounds really positive. You know, you've been working together really well. But in working on this claim, were there any particular challenges that you faced in bringing that claim together?
Or perhaps I could lead on this. I think anyone who's working in a university will have the same challenge that we had, which is we are just all so busy. And therefore doing this on top of everything else, it's 4,500 word submission. And if you're going to have a really good chance of winning, then you've got to make every one of those 4,500 words count. So, having the right 4,500 words is a lot of work. So I think one of the best things we did was to put fortnightly meetings in the diary from the beginning. We didn't always know what we're going to do in those fortnightly meetings, but we knew we were going to be getting together, and there's always that sense of, oh, it's coming up, have I done anything? And sometimes we hadn't. Sometimes we get to the fortnightly meeting and we hadn't made any progress, and at that point, instead of it being a progress meeting, it's well, what can we do? We've got an hour. This is the first hour we've had in the last fortnight. Let's do something. So I think some of it was like reviewing and talking about what happens next, but actually some of those meetings where we just discussed and debated and said, well, we haven't managed to progress this, well, let's just have a think about it, were some of the most useful meetings. And for us, we meet weekly. Our campfires were a big part of what we were talking about, so we meet weekly. So we just tagged those onto, we had, if we just put in the diary that the hour meeting was after one of our campfire meetings, then generally we were free as well. So I definitely a regular meeting. And I think linked to that is that sense of, you know, don't have one person write this on their own. It's too much work. So as I said, there's lots of people in the university work on the partnership and on the programs. We could only have a team of 15 for the bid, for the claim. So we had 15, but then we had 4 who really were this core team who met fortnightly to actually work on the document and the claim, which we shared with the wider team. But you need people who are actually going to really commit to doing that piece of work. And I think as a group, one of the challenges was we do work collaboratively, but we're in completely different disciplines, the 4 of us, and we don't know each other that well. So part of the process was learning each other's strengths, and Sue's touched on this. It was only by the end of the process we'd learned so much about each other's strengths, and we knew that Floriana was absolutely brilliant at data visualization and could produce wonderful diagrams that didn't use many words, so we didn't lose our word count. And we knew that Sue was really great on the theory side and the pedagogic side. She could bring in that robustness and those references. Lynn is fantastic at wordsmithing and looking at a really strategic level and can really make that compelling story that really jumps out of the page. And I'm good at just getting that first draft down. So I'll just, take the white sheet of paper, get something down, which people can then critique. So over time, we kind of understood those strengths, but not at the beginning. We really tried to use the tools that we encourage students to try. And, so our students study online and learn online. So we used the online tools as our collaborative tools. So we did word clouds, we had online meetings, we met virtually, and we used Padlet and different things in our practice as well. And I think the other thing to say is that we thought we were nearly finished when we had our first draft of 4,500 words. So one of the challenges was that time, and then thinking we're nearly there, but the amount of work from when you've got a first draft to actually polishing something. I think if it's much like a research paper. You submit a first draft and it's not very often accepted and goes straight to publication. There's normally reviewers, and it gets better as a result. So that was a big process, big part of the process as well.
Hopefully, when people listen to this podcast, there will be people who are interested in applying for an NTF or a CATE, or both in the same year, if they're very ambitious. So we've heard all about some of the challenges that you've faced, but we don't want to put people off. We want them to be positive about applying. So what were the benefits? We've heard about some of them so far, and something you need to do as a CATE team is articulate those benefits. What were the benefits to the wider community, people that you're working with, but also to you as a team?
So Lisa has talked about the really intense process that we went through together over a period of months, trying to pull our application together. And I'm sure it might seem a little counterintuitive, but I'm sure colleagues will agree with me that in fact that was a really fun process. Although it was quite pressurized, it was very enriching. It really brought us together. There was a really strong sense of supportive community, that we had each other's backs, that we were starting to understand one another's strengths, and to know that this is a team that we can really rely on, both as individuals and as a group. So, I think it's fair to say that it really strengthened us as a team, and strengthened our bonds of friendship, and gave us a much better understanding of one another's distinctive strengths as well as our own. The CATE process, as you've suggested, Charles, was a chance for us to try and articulate the success of Liverpool Online, and what is really special about it, the things that particularly contribute to that success. And I think the collaboration actually emerged as our golden thread, the things that run through the complexity, and really brings this process together. And I think as much as it helped us to articulate those things, I think the reflective process of working through that piece together, having those big conversations together, distilling the complexity into, what really are those special key elements, and how do they deliver transformative outcomes and excellence for our students. That process itself was almost as important as being able to articulate those things externally. And we've really been able to build on those things once we've surfaced those elements, to think about how we really embed them into our practice and capitalise on them. So the CATE Award itself, of course, it's strengthened our profile, it's added to our credibility, both collectively as Liverpool Online and as a leadership team, and individually. I think all of us have had many opportunities within the university and across the sector to talk about collaboration, our partnership, and the things that are special about Liverpool Online. But it's also been a springboard for us to think about other awards and things that we can do to continue to strengthen our profile, using the capabilities of that core group of 4 individuals, now that we have that established way of working together, to think about, well, how can we take this forward? So we were actually finalists in the Pioneer Awards Partnership of the Year. We were finalists for the Business Culture Awards. We also were one of only 11 universities worldwide to rank as gold in the Times Higher Education World Ranking for online learning. And all of those achievements, I think, was seeded by the CATE Award, and helping us to really articulate those key elements of the success of Liverpool Online and take those into different forums.
So it sounds like this has been a really great experience for you all, and seeded some big things for the future as well. So if other people are inspired now to think they might also go for this, what advice would you have for other teams that are considering submitting an expression of interest for a CATE Award?
So I think, as Lisa has already said, it's really important to join the Pipeline program. That is a collaboration between those universities currently in the Northwest that Charles has been leading on. So join the Pipeline program. Lisa was participating in this the year that we were applying. I participated in the CATE Pipeline program the year before, and I was participating in the NTF Pipeline program. So the Pipeline program actually demonstrates collaboration across universities, and it gives you the opportunity to really get to grips with what the criteria are asking, and to be able to thrash out your thoughts and your fears with people who are in similar boats as what you are. Now, joining the Pipeline program doesn't mean you're actually going to write an application, because part of the process could be like, oh, you realise you haven't got enough evidence at the moment, and so you need to take another year or whatever to be able to put yourself in a place of readiness. So, and it doesn't mean you're going to be selected, because the university can only select one nominee to go into a nomination for a CATE Award. So there's no guarantees, but participating in the Pipeline program is an essential first step in drafting your application. And it's important to be able to frame that claim, to wordsmith it, to make it coherent, to tell a single story, and to respond to the criteria specifically. Respond to the criteria and provide the evidence that demonstrates the extent to which you have demonstrated the criteria, because it's possible to have a great collaboration but not to write a good claim. So it's a good idea to check out the information on the Advance HE website, talk to other people who have gone through the process before. When you write a CATE application, you do have to have at least 2 people willing to do the hard work. So we had Lisa as our lead, and we had Lynn as our deputy lead for our application. And there are actually two roles on the application form that are required. In this case, we also had Floriana and myself as another two core team members of our total group of 15 CATE award-winning team members. So I think 4 was a bit of the sweet spot, because it's hard to get a lot of people together. If you only have 2, it's really helpful, and you're required to have 2, but you might miss out on some of the diversity of perspectives. So with 4, we were able to be honest with each other and say what was working, what wasn't working, what was missing. And through our own connections within OLG, we knew about the different voices that we needed to pull in, because we all relate to different people differently. So that's really important. And I think having a mentor is really, really important. We had a past CATE Award winner as our mentor, and he was able to give feedback on the application, which was really important. And I think that having that mentor who's able to understand the process, but also to be able to benchmark the assessment standards. And like as Lisa is now doing, Lisa is a member of the CATE network, CATEnet, and also has been involved in assessing CATE applications since we've won the award. Charles, who has been leading on this, has many, many years of experience of doing that. So having somebody with that, yes, this will work, no, that won't work, come up to the standard, take out those words, make it clear and concise, know that evidence is not impactful enough, find something better. So having those outside people who can have fresh eyes and give you feedback on the application is really important. As Lisa said, start the work early. It's a dissertation, not an essay. You've got to do a lot of groundwork and pull things together. It takes time to do it well, and requires a lot of reflection and deep thinking. And it's complex, and you need to bring in those multiple voices, yet still tell a single story that draws all the evidence together from a wide range of sources.
It's a big job, but it definitely also sounds like it's worth doing from the benefits it's brought your team. So this podcast is called Developing Practice Podcast, and we like to finish each podcast with a few take-home tips that the listeners can reflect on in terms of their own professional practice. So could you give us a few tips or thoughts to reflect on?
Maybe I can start. I've just got quite a short and sweet one, and I think whatever you're doing, whatever your subject area is or your interest is, I think one of the things that I almost took for granted is the benefit of spending more time with people who are at the same university as you, so they've got this common context, common issues, common challenges, but outside your own discipline. So again, that sort of sweet spot between the familiar and the novel, between people going through the same things but from completely different perspectives. And it's such a rich and interesting set of conversations and ideas, opportunities for innovation and problem solving when you're able to meet regularly and talk through whatever means that is, whether it's a network or it's a task or a project that you join. I think working with people at the same institution but in completely different areas is really valuable.
So mine would be think about the CATE process and the CATE award as a beginning, not the end of the process. So really think about how you live this in your practice. So now that the collaboration and excellence through collaboration is in sharp relief, how do you live that in every decision, in every activity? For example, thinking about how we co-create value with students in our portfolio and how we might bring them into decision making, just as one example. And think about it in terms of your practice, but think about it also in terms of the opportunities that CATE opens up. The CATE network and the contacts that opens up for you within and outside your institution.
And to sum up, I have just one final short and sweet thought, just encouraging people to collaboratively strike a balance between individual excellence and team excellence so that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
That's a lovely thought to end on. Thank you.